what I want to tell to all Kenyans that are listening to me today. The time of fear is over. We better die standing than living on our knees. And if you are not prepared to die, please stay at home and sleep. Come prepared to die, but also come prepared to stay alive to see the Kenya that will be there. Remember, the tree of liberty is always watered by the blood of patriots. And remember that if it is not people who died, we would not be here. In fact, even Jesus died so that we can be here today. So the Bible says, whoever shall preserve their life shall lose it, and whoever shall lose their life for his sake shall gain it. So I want to tell everyone that is afraid or that fear has gotten into your heart, do not buy fear from one William Ruto. Yes, he is good at killing witnesses, and he's good at killing protesters, but he cannot kill all of us. Some of us will live to see the new Kenya, and I'll be one of them. I know that there is a new Kenya on the horizon. That is why they have panicked. Kenya right now is a crime scene. Beginning with our local banks. Our local banks, I want to call them out today. Those banks don't want to loan us money because they are loaning money to government. I went to Family Bank Utawala, broken tiles, peeled off paint, yet the bank declares profit. And I wonder, where are they getting the profit from? These people are loaning money to government, money that is not needed by government, then they eat the interest. So now we have a government that is borrowing from local banks in the pretext of domestic borrowing at very high interest rates intentionally, so that they can, take away now, they make money from the interest. That is why business people don't have money to expand their businesses. You see, I talked about these issues, and just this week, I was sent KRA. And when KRA came to my office, they came telling me to give them my bank statements. I asked them, what the hell? You people are KRA, for crying out loud. You can go and get my bank statements if you need them. I don't need to provide evidence to you. In any case, I have a right to remain silent. Then they wrote me a notice of offense. This notice of offense, when I read it, and even when I read the names of the people, the 3 officers that came, all of them were people who are being used from one community. And that is why I want to remind everybody that is listening to me tonight. This thing has nothing to do with the tribe. Even if you are from Kalenjin and the president is from your land, there is nothing you benefit as a person from Nandi or Elgeyo Marakwet for being from the region of the president. Nothing. In fact, you may suffer more than me. If you come from Central and the deputy president is from your region, or you come from Mombasa and Joe has been appointed, remember that it has nothing to do with the improvement of your life. These are people who are regrouping to rob you blind, and you are happy and cheering. If you go to JKI, it's a crime scene. It has been said. I cannot repeat. You go to the Ministry of Education, crime scene. Crime scene is a pure crime scene. We even have fake schools receiving money for capitation. Can you, hey, guy, Kariana Goma. I don't even come from Central, but at least I know that one. Look, you go to the housing program, crime scene. That is why Ruto is always talking about the housing program. Mimi nataka niwaeleze hivi na nataka mnisikize vizuri. Tumebomoa nyumba more than 6,000 units. Sasa tunajenga nyumba zingine 160,000 units hapa Changamwe, na pale Diani hapo White House tutajenga zingine. Na mimi nataka niwaeleze hivi. Sasa hawa vijana ambao hawana kazi, na hawa mama mboga ambao sijawapatia loan bila interest, na hawa polisi ambao wanatozwa ushuru usiku na mchana, sasa hawa wote wanaweza kukopa deni bila interest katika mpango yetu ya housing. You see the way he talks about that thing, he is very happy about it because of how much money is making from it. William Ruto cannot champion any idea where he is not making money with his friends. He cannot think beyond his stomach. William Ruto, if you are listening today, or your cohorts are listening using a fake account, I want to ask you, what else can money do for you? Money bought you MP. Money bought you minister. Money bought you a helicopter and URP. And it bought you MPs. You became a deputy president. Money bought you members of parliament who are singing your name here wakiitwa timtangatanga. Money has bought you the presidency. What else is this that you want money to buy from you? Why are you still stealing? Because the reason we have corruption in Kenya is because the president is corrupt. Tusiogope kusema kama atatuma DCI waninyonge ni sawa. I am saved. I am ready to go to heaven. Heaven is beautiful. Streets are made of gold. Jasper and onyx. Nani hapa amewahi Jasper and onyx? Hakuna. Mimi am ready to see it. Kwa hivyo Ruto asituuzie uoga. He is the most corrupt person in Kenya. He is the father of corruption. And I keep praying for this man. Ile kitu anabeba pale kwa mkono kama ukweli ni Biblia. Yes, the cover is written Holy Bible, but I don't know the contents. If that thing is really a Bible, let him read it and he makes sure he understands it. If he understands it, let him decide, yes, I am a child born of corruption. I have come to power through corruption, but I'm making a decision today to leave a better country for my children, better than I found it. Sasa sahi watoto wake wanafanya matatu business. And that matatu business, there is nothing a child of a president needs for the child of the president to do matatu business. Ni wash, laundry. Iyo ukienda kwa bank account ya hizo matatu, utapata somebody is banking 10 million every day anasema ni ya matatu. This is money that has been stolen from Kenyans. You go to the National Treasury, crime scene. Pesa inakopwa kutoka ngambo, inatumika kutrade huko ngambo, inatengenezea watu pesa. Ikikuja treasury, it doesn't go to the consolidated fund. To avoid going through the control of budget so that it doesn't go through the budget. You go to the office of the DPP. This person that was appointed, this one. Crime scene. Recently, he withdrew a case against Najib Balala. The juzi ameandika barua akisema Oparanya does not have any case to answer. They have been withdrawing corruption cases left, right, and center. But they are very quick to put youth in court. And, sometimes they even oppose bail for people just coming out with a flag, na firimbi, to fight for a better country. Your office of the DPP is a crime scene. And I want to tell everybody that is listening today, my friends, there is a problem with independent institutions and independent offices in Kenya. These independent offices, the word independent iliisha kitambo. An inspector general under the constitution is supposed to be independent. But he comes to the office and anaambiwa sign barua mbili. Sign barua ya appointment na sign barua ya resignation without a date. Ile siku yenye unasikia ni kama utaki kufanya vile wanataka, they put a date on your resignation letter. Wewe unaona kwa Citizen TV, you've resigned. Now there's nothing you can say because these are the chief killers in our country. You go to Expressway. I saw the president saying, our country is really good at public-private partnership. If you go to the Expressway, in fact, let me just say it in his voice. Hii project yetu ya Expressway, hii ni mpango ambayo ilikuja through public and private partnership. Sasa anasifu hiyo project ya Expressway na ile ni money laundering inaendelea pale. But they don't be happy about these people that come to our country as foreign investors. This is our own money stolen from Kenya, taken abroad, then a Kamuzungu or a Chinese comes as a proxy, comes to launder the money in Kenya through some project like Expressway. Ile ni money laundering inaendelea pale. This country, mahali imefika, is a crime scene. We are living in a setup. These people want to finish us. If we don't come out on the 8th of August, there will be no country. There will be no country to come back to. In fact, we should just stop getting children. If you don't come up on the 8th of August, tuache kuzaa watoto because they will suffer. That is all I have to say today.
Hold on. You'll come back with the way forward. Just hold on there. There's someone here called Grammar Boy. Grammar Boy told me that the prison officers have not been paid their salary. I don't know, they are demonstrating. Wanataka kuachilia wezi watoke kamiti. Wewe bana, unataka kuachilia watu watoke kamiti bana. Unataka tuende wapi? What's wrong with you?
Hey, America.
Yes.
Unanisikia?
Nakusikia.
Shukrani kwa hii nafasi bro.
Wewe ni askari sio?
Yes.
Nini inaendelea bana? Mnataka kustrike kwa nini bana? Choro wenyu.
Bana, the ground iko hostile mbaya sana. The ground iko hostile mbaya sana America.
What's the problem?
The problem ni historia hiyo pesa yenye preso alisemanga ile siku akiapisha wa commissioner.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, endelea.
So in fact hiyo pesa hatukuwekewa. Hiyo 4K.
Wewe bana uko wapi? Uko kwa watchtower. Uko kwa watchtower ya committee ama wapi bana? Sikupati.
Hapana. Haulipati?
Uko sawa sasa. Hiyo network yako is going on and off.
Siko kwa tower za America.
Yes. So what is the issue? Why do you people want?
The issue is the issue is hao wakubwa wetu wametusoea sana. So our officers walikuwa wanasema the prison headquarters under the Commissioner General of Prisons has always delayed increment of our salaries whenever the office of the president declare an increment of salary to all discipline services to a duration of a month, 2 months, 3 months with the excuse of system failure. It is well known that the CGP and the HR salaries directors have fixed accounts that they keep our money and reap from it. The CGP
We've lost you. Edgar, unamsikia
officers who seem unhappy with their actions. The increment order from the president is given to the treasury and towards all discipline services, and our question is, why is it at all times whenever there is money supposed to be paid to the prison officers, the office with the mandate America sanipata?
Wewe endelea. Tuambie.
America. Hello.
Go on. Can you hear him? Hello, Cyprian. Can you hear him?
America, sanipata?
Go on, tunakusikia.
Yeah, unapatikana. Uko sawa. So madam anasema ati kila time ama jamaa kituongezea pesa lazima wanasema for mungoje 1 month, 2 months ama 3 months ndio tuweke hiyo pesa. Alafu hawekangi do yote, wanaekanga kidogo kama 1k. Kama last time hiyo mwezi wa 8 ilifaa tupewe 1200. Alafu mimi kama mimi nilipata 186 bob. So madam anauliza kama wanauliza kama hiyo pesa ya mashujaa, hiyo siku ya parade ya mashujaa yenye ilikuwa Bungoma, maafisa wengi walilia juu hiyo pesa walikata. Sijui nasikia watu walikuwa wanapata 15k, 20k, unlike majamaa wengine wa KDF walikuwa wanalipwa pesa mingi. Issue nyingine ya pili ni issue ya uniform. Yani like maafisa wanashangaa mbona wakubwa wa prison wanafaa compact, alafu sisi wadogo tunaambiwa tusifanye hiyo compact. Sasa majamaa nauliza like kwani uniform sinafaa kuwa same? Alafu ukifanya hiyo compact wanakushtaki. Hiyo ni issue nyingine. Issue nyingine ni story na housing. Like maafisa wengi hapa kwa kambi wanaishi manyumba zingine sinakaa bana. Inakaa refugee camp bana. Inakaa like sijui nyumba ni ya bricks, mabati nyingine mbovu. Nyumba zingine hata zinanyesha. Alafu wakubwa wanapatanga house allowance mingi, unapata hizo manyumba za korofa wao ndo wanaishi. Story nyingine ni story na hizi working conditions. Like matao mingi hapa ndani, matao mingi hata ukienda kamiti, tawa ni mbaya, unapata sijui matawa ziko na kunguni. Yaani zingine zinanyesha. Alafu ofisa akiingia huko hakuna kutoka. Baridi ndio hiyo, ukishuka wanakushtaki. Sasa majamaa wameboeka, ground ni mbaya, ground ni hostile. Alafu story nyingine ni story na about hizi mabunduki. Like mabunduki mingi watu wanasema ati hizi vitu zimekuwa ovyo, zimekuwa fake, yani like zimekuwa ni vitu za kitambo. So majamaa maskari wanasema tunataka weapons zingine mpya. Hatutaki hizi vitu ya kitambo ati sijui nini, tunataka vitu zingine mpya. Alafu kitu kingine pia majamaa wanasema most inmates in most prisons are either in civilian dresses and those in uniforms are yote imeraruka. Sasa majamaa wanasema na kuna pesa, nasikia kuna pesa imetengwa ya uniform ya wafungwa. Alafu huko ndani pia ati kuna kunguni na kuna pesa imetengwa hizo madawa za kunguni. Sasa majamaa nauliza hii pesa zimeingia wapi? Next story nyingine ni story na about alafu majamaa pia wanauliza kama kama wetu mbona kama hiyo pesa 4K ya juzi mbona wakubwa
Polo Kimani, ni kama tumepoteza huyu jamaa. These guys must be living in very 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 bad condition. Polo well, yes. America, malizia tunakupata vizuri, tunaelewa.
Sasa majamaa wanauliza mbona wakubwa wetu waliwekewa hiyo 4K alafu sisi hatukuwekewa, alafu wanasema hakuna cycle. Sasa wanauliza
kitu bwana.
Wapi? Sikupata
mzee. How are you surviving?
Hata tunasurvive tu bro, tunasurvive tu. Unaenda mtaani kidogo unakaa na mahindi, unasukuma maisha kidogo hivyo. Wengine majamaa wakifunga kazi wanaingia kwa ndudhi. Lazima tu yani yani live imekuwa ngumu man, live imekuwa ngumu mbaya sana. Alafu wakubwa wengi kama ni chakula wao wanajipea nyumba mzuri, wao ndio wanaishi nyumba mzuri. Sasa unashangaa bana, hawa watu wanataka tuishi yani.
And you are the one who was supposed to take care of the prisoners.
Sisi ma constable ndo tunachunga ama jamaa mkubwa, hakuna hawa wanakaanga tu kwa ofisi bro.
Na ile story wanasemanga ati nyinyi ungana na au kamiti sugu muibie watu M-Pesa na nini, ni ukweli? Hello. Yes, I was asking you.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Hello.
Polo Kimani, unaweza endelea.
Hello.
Polo Kimani, unaweza endelea.
Mr. Grandma boy, unasikika, I can hear you.
Nakundi unanipata?
Go on. Endelea bro. Go on.
Yes. You can proceed bro.
I think network yake ni mbovu, maybe huko kwa kibasement. Unajua jela maisha huko.
Hello, Amerix.
Malizia bro.
Nasema sasa ama jamaa anauliza hii cycle ilitoka wapi ndio wakubwa wakaongezewa pesa.
We can have someone else proceed.
No,
you had something to say.
I understand his cries. Because actually what happens, what usually happens, si ati do ijafikia wakubwa. Pesa ishafikia wakubwa, but inaingianga the same thing governors do. Pesa inaingia kwa personal accounts. So what they do is they hold this money for 2-3-4 months. Ile interest ina grow kwa ile do before they can now dispatch it to the necessary places. Ile interest ndo wanategea. That's why you find these rayas are always complaining nini mazi pesa imepeana imeenda wapi. It's your bosses who are fucking you. And now that we are talking about bosses, I've seen this fella called Mr. Jimmy Wanjigi. Maybe Jimmy can tell us about the whole mineral thing, because I know he has been aware. I mean, he has been dining with these guys, kina Hunye, kina Jacob Juma, kina Ruto. Maybe he can tell us why they have been fucking the lower middle class for such a long time. Now that we have decided to kuungana, now he just floats up and acts like he hakuwa anajua nini ina happen. Now another thing, we have been doing research, at least tumefanya, it was actually insane to find out that what we actually have in Kenya, even the Adani deal, I'm 99% sure it has something, a portion of it, to do with the minerals we have in Kenya. When you see them saying they want 30% of the JKIA, they want their own runway, they want to have, they want their own stuff. This means they want to have an unmanaged, unscrutinized, and unmonitored movement of goods in and out of the country. One of the goods being exported is our minerals. Because hata ukiangalia tu ile website ya wale wasi Adani Enterprises, what they usually do, their biggest business is mining. They mine coal in India. I've seen all those photos in all the minerals that they've been mining. So these guys ni bad news. Nikiwaambia sahi hata mimi naweza vaa tu nguo ni chomoke niende JKIA juu ile hasira niko nayo, msione ni mchezo. I know what is coming. The plague has just started. Now that place called Taita Taveta, that is the hot cake of all the minerals we have right now, because from my calculations, we have about 260 billion US dollars lying there in form of titanium, in form of uranium, in form of niobium, in form of tantalum, in form of manganese and other minerals that, maybe they haven't been, they haven't been mapped out yet. But what I've seen today is the government, which is by the way illegal, has, unajua ile ni land ya community. The government, under abnormal circumstances, it has just decided to give 500 acres to this guy called Devki. The one saying that Ruto should be given 25 more years.
I've seen hata nimeona amepewa hata title deed. This is very bad.
When you kasia
amepewa title deed. Unapeaje a foreigner a title deed? How? Happen wapi? Ni Kenya tu hapa ndio unaona vitu kama hizi.
Maze ndio nakwambia, sasa ni kama watu feel. And now I've been trying to, hata nimeambia ndugu yangu pale Webuye nataka hii nyingine aniletee. Kuna hiki tulikuwa natumia tukiwa vijana inaitwa fair, I feel like nimefika my what do you call it? My climax of hasira. Being peaceful isn't working anymore. And I'm not going to sit down and watch you fuckers over and over and over and over again. Wacha tutoke maandamano na fair. I'm not saying mtoke maandamano na fair, but this is just a thought I've been thinking about. We are so much in deep shit, and these politicians don't seem to be giving a single shit what we think. Mgome msigome, we are still going to do what we want. Given the Adani deal, they want, we might be just here ranting, and they'll just go ahead and do it.
Kimani, just hold on. Shikilia tu hapa. Kasmuel, I see you here. What do you want to say?
Yes, brother.
Have you told this fellow my mentee?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Those people who do not know, Amerix is one of the people who really helped me out with drama and music when I was in high school. No, I'm not bragging. However, mi nataka tu hasira ibaki juu. Leo sina, I don't have the facts to give you. I just need to bring a few things to our notice. This past 2 or so days, you've seen the vetting of the CSs happen. You've seen that people have claimed that they've worked for 30 years and they accumulated, for example, 400 million. But in the past less than 2 years, somebody's net worth has increased by over 200 million. I don't know which business that is, because remember the shilling was not doing too well. Tax has gone up, cost of living has gone up, but kuna wase bado wamemake na sijaona hiyo business, because politicians don't produce anything. All politicians produce is violence and chaos. They don't have industry. Unasikia mtu anakuwa vetted, the question wanaulizwa, where have you said, mtu kama Dwala anasema from selling his biography. Najua watu wenye wako hapa, very few people have read it. And yes, because it's a biggest selling book in Nuria, does not make it seem as though he's selling 1 million copies a week. Again, uliona nani akikuwa interviewed Oparanya. Nani Juliet alikuwa ana nod as though to guide the person to answer no to the question. I'm hearing people declare their wealth. Nobody's even asking for tax returns. These questions are being asked as though it's just a formality. In a meeting ya watu wa form 4 wanajaribu kusema nani atakuwa CU chairman. and ilikuwa isha determiniwa first term. These people are just hanging out as a boys club. I need to remind you, undiweke hasira juu, sina sijui nini. Polisi umesikia our comrade the cop saying waliongezewa 4,000. Have you seen the amount of force these people use to us on the streets? Is it worth 4,000 shillings? If you're a cop and you're listening to this, I need you to ask yourself, is 4,000 shillings worth brutalizing your brothers and sisters for on the streets? Remember, again, there's this propaganda of this silly disease that's being touted called mpox. If by my analysis, it just feels as though they want to make it look like COVID. You've seen the photos of the boil looking all ugly, but it feels as though they want to impose a lockdown so that what was he andamane, so that there's no public gatherings, because they've just dissipated it as propaganda. And this is what we said: this aura for aura business should not cease, because the government needs to be reminded that they do not own monopoly of propaganda. They might have monopoly of violence, but they do not have monopoly of propaganda. Remember, hii kitu ya mpox to me, it doesn't even sound like a real disease. Ina sound kama kitu imekuwa fabricated. It sounds like a sponsored ad, because at your patient zero got it while traveling from Uganda to Rwanda through Kenya. It does not make any sense. For me, it just seems like it's a lockdown thing. Kumbuka, weka hasira yako juu. How many bodies have shown up at city so far? The last time I saw the report, it was 240 something. So it means one body for every constituency. Uko hapa, you've sat down as a Kenyan, bado unajiuliza ati why should I go for maandamano? It is for these people who are dying like dogs. Those people, I attended this Tom Boyer show and they mentioned the names, and I remember being so moved and standing, because there are people who laid their lives so that we can get this far. Remember, your local politician produces nothing, but sisi tuko hapa Twitter tunatukanana, tunasema sijui nani has done this. While the revolution is going on, we need to have one common enemy. Our common enemy is a conman, he's a looter, he's a killer and a murderer, and hires on corruption and cronyism. It is very true, and I'm very sad to admit that there are people who have made money off of the revolution. There are people who've received funding from organization in the name of mobilizing people, and they have not used that money for the collective. These people, we will not let them lose. That's one thing I need to assure them. And ever since I knew, nilikuwa nafikiria kila mtu anakuja hiki tu kwa na roho safi, but watu tu wako mchezo wa town. Ever since I knew, we said these people will have to be brought to the book. However, as long as they are still furthering this agenda, we have to figure that Nane thing, because I'm not hearing enough of us talking about this Nane thing. Remember, when this embittered currently Nairobi-based outgoing president is touring around, these trips still cost millions. It's just that we're not seeing the books. Nobody's auditing it. I think, and I would wager, they cost just as much as his international trips would cost. He's now gone on a very, very rampant campaign trail, and we are letting this thing slide while having this infighting. Nane is coming up. You've seen the way people wanateseka. Umesikia vile artists wanadharauliwa huku nje. Umesikia vile watu wanadhulumiwa huku nje. Women are still getting raped in those informal settlements or slums. Men are still being shot like dogs. People in the slums are still going hungry. But watu wamekaa hapa chini in a chamber, in a parliament of baboons, where people sit down, interview each other as a round table chama. It's capture harvest. They go and just pick from public coffers as though they are taking an unsecured loan from a sacco. Na wewe umekaa hapo, hasira yako inapungua. Unakaa chini, you have the guts to think you can question the movement. You think that we will get another moment where we will give this system shock therapy like this. It's never going to happen if we don't follow through with it. It's never. You've seen the effects it has all across Africa. So ukijaribu kuacha hiyo hasira yako ishuke, nitakukumbusha net worth ya our CSs. Unakaa hivi chini, ukumbuke you're a peasant, you're a pauper. That's why you're on this space. If you had anything, you would not be on this space. Even the people who we think have money who are on this space, they have nothing. They're trying to gather more information on how best they can screw you. Now wewe bado unakaa chini, you think you have moral high ground to call out what this movement is. Let's not accept to be sucked into the useless, these baseless infightings. Because as Ayn Rand said in 1957, when you see that in order to produce, you need to obtain permission from men who produced nothing. When you see that money is flowing to those who deal, not in goods but in favors. When you see that men get richer by graft and by pull than by work, and your laws don't protect you against them, but protect them against you. When you see corruption being rewarded and honesty becoming a self-sacrifice, you may know that your society is doomed. Alafu bado kuna watu wanakuuliza after Ruto, what next? We have figured out that society is doomed and we are trying to reclaim it. And if you think about whatever even this CS vetting process is, it's like someone who's doing a colonoscopy where they're supposed to be examining your internal organs, but they're doing it with a telescope. Nobody is up for accountability anymore. And the more we let these people slide, the more we let them deal and whore our future around, we will not have a country. This thing which people are lying and deceiving you that we don't have a country, that people are trying to let the country descend into chaos is nothing. Because when you say Ruto must go, and I want to explain this to you very clearly if you're listening to the sound of my voice. When you say Ruto must go, you are affirming the position of the Constitution. Because on September 21st, 2020, CJ Emeritus David Maraga advised the then President Uhuru to dissolve Parliament because it was not in good standing. Years later, this Parliament as it sits is unconstitutional. So all this rigmarole of what comes next, there will be no power vacuum. Let nobody lie to you that the country will descend into chaos. Because we are peaceful, beyond being tribeless, leaderless, and fearless. We are also not, as I keep on saying, we're protesters, not rioters and looters. Nobody should lie to you that the country will descend into chaos, because what the president knows very well, if you read the Constitution, you cannot also litigate that matter of now Supreme Court, the president of the judiciary has said something, now you want to litigate it in High Court. It is not a matter of litigation. You just follow the Constitution. The president knows once he dissolves Bunge, we have to go into a general election, and by effect that means that he has resigned. So when you say don't be afraid,
Hello?
Nobody lied to you. Can you hear me? Let
Yes.
nobody
Can you
lie
hear me?
to you. Okay. Yes, I can. Let me just
Okay.
wrap it up. Let nobody lie to you that the people are not for you. God is for us, the people are for us. And I talk as a person, nimeingia ground. Nimefanya hiki kitu online, nimeingia ground, and everybody is ripe for these things. Toka hapo nje asira ikiwa juu, ongea na mama mboga wako. And don't talk down on these people. These people are equally as wise. They're equally as wise as we are. So in all our contributions in everything that you're doing, as we soldier up to Nane, ask yourself, is this country currently working for you? And is this the kind of country you want to live in? Thanks, Amerix.
Thank you very much, Kasmueli. Yes, push it beyond online into offline. Okayo, I just want to inform you that this space has been reported several times. So when you try to fetch it, you may not see it. Jamaa wanajaribu report left, right, and center. I don't know what you have done. We are citizens. We have a right to assemble and talk. That is our constitutional mandate to do that. So Okayo, where are you? There was a young man, Okayo, who is pushing civic education. Sisi kama bado tuko hapa X tunagombana, huko nje there are people doing something. They are talking to mama mboga, to whatever, boda, kwa matatu, everywhere. They are talking. They are telling them, look, this is why we are agitated. This is why we are not happy. This is why things are not going the way they are supposed to go. People need to be empowered with information. And that's what they are doing out there. But sisi hapa X, what are we doing? Insulting each other, demeaning each other, belittling each other, abusing each other. Something that we need to stop. We need to hold each other accountable, yes, but let us be in unity. Polo.
Yes, sir.
Endelea.
Hata nimepoteza nini. Where was I saying? I think I was talking about, I mean, my main, my core reason why I'm here is to talk about minerals and also, the impunity. But my business right now is about minerals. I was saying Jimmy Wanjigi should be here. And also I saw Steve Mbogo speaking about the same issue. I think it was on Spice FM. Maybe he should also tells us, maybe he forgot to mention, is it true that you have a mining, a mining site in Kenya and another one in Tanzania? Is that true, Steve Mbogo?
I saw Steve Bogo here. The space has been having issues.
I think I can also see.
Steve Bogo, are you here? I saw you. He was in the speakers panel.
Yeah, he's a speaker.
Maybe as we wait for Steve Bogo, we have Ruben, Papa Ruben. I started listening to Papa Ruben back in when I was still a small fellow. Joy Bringers on VOK. Papa Ruben.
Thank you very much, Amerix. I was getting worried because I have another meeting lined up, but thank you for, let me just use a few minutes. First of all, I wish we had time to talk about what MC Njagi is going through, because that's a whole issue that I have so much data on. But that's for another day. I would like to highlight four things. First of all, I would like us to understand that what we are dealing with is an enemy that has not been understood by Kenyans. And we need to break it down so that the amount of anger we put in this thing is maximized. Now, if we want integrity and somebody does not work on it, if we want accountability and somebody doesn't like it, if we want a lean government and somebody wants an expanded one, if we want to live within our means and someone is teaching his people and living extravagant, then we have a real enemy of our country. If we want the sacking of the entire cabinet, as in let them go so we can have a national representation on meritocracy, then we have a reshuffle of cronies. And worse still, you have the so-called opposition brought into government as if to mock citizens. It's like mtadu tunaenda kufanya hivi, and that's what we want to do. You can do nothing about it. We know that parliament is an appendage of the executive. That we know. We know what they have done to us in this country. I mean, the fertilizer scandal notwithstanding, they can mock us that way. And money will change hands, and one way or the other, parliament will remain what it is. So when we see the so-called vetting, and we actually take time to listen and even comment, I'm wondering, honestly speaking, what are we even commenting on? We already know this is a rogue system. We know it's a rogue process. So we need to come to a place of reality where we really understand our enemy. And we must come together and go to the root of the problem. You know, I want to say this. Many of you view me as a musician, and so you read me in the light of a song. And you view, some in fact view me on the basis of disability, all of that. But I need you to know that I graduated from university at the same time as Ruto. He was at the University of Nairobi, I was at Kenyatta University. We are 9 months apart in birth. And so I have been around and I've been looking at how this country goes. He goes into business, I go the other direction into my professions and other things. And we come to a point where even with systems of education, we all know what worked and did not work. we know what this country needs to be. And so when you see me angry, I'm not angry because the Gen Zs provoked us to look at these issues. I've been angry for a long time. If you go to my videos, I've been speaking against Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila, especially from 2018, the BBI stuff. So I don't come into this the way you view me as a singer. I come as a bona fide citizen. And for those of you that think I'm from Rwanda, I'm from Bunyore. Kigame is from Bunyore in Vihiga. So I'm a citizen of this country. And I may be a singer, but I'm a PhD student right now. So it's not lack of education. It's not a pity party thing. I'm in this because I'm genuinely angry and I want Ruto to go with his entire system. For heaven's sake, I'm a philosophy, I teach philosophy. I teach history. And I'm so angry that a few people can take a whole country captive and, lead them like they own them. This cannot be allowed to go on. No, we will not let it happen. This country is full of blood. We've shed too much blood from independence. But Ruto and his system, in 1 year, we only know 247 at the city morgue. I've been to the Yala River. I've been to that hospital and talked to those guys, some families, some doctors there. When Giggs Tata was shot, I went to Mombasa. I was with the family. I was at Kenyatta Hospital visiting with those who were shot, who were injured. We are not dealing with a joke. Citizens have been murdered by this country, by this government. In my private time, I talk a lot to people in the security docket. I have policemen who are my friends. When somebody tells you they have, they are given like 17 to 18,000 a month, of course, it sounds like a lot. But that is what they have for rent. That is what they have for food. That is what they have for the school fees of their children. That is what they have for transport. That is what they have for everything. And they're living in squalid conditions, mabati structures, like the officer said, some of them leaking. I have friends in that state. When we talk about a few people living like they don't belong here, friends, I don't think we are angry enough. I don't think we are angry enough. Don't waste your time looking at what businesses they're doing. Those children have money that can last them like 17 lifetimes. As people go hand to mouth and sometimes without anything in the hand to take to the mouth. I have people who inbox me, not having eaten for 3 or 4 days. And I'm not paid enough to be able to have something go around for them. I'm talking to Uber drivers that are being harassed like crazy. Kenyans, if we allow these guys to, consolidate and kill the spirit of the struggle, we will be very bad losers. So let me just give a few suggestions. First of all, I really think that union leaders, those that are organized enough in groups that are suffering, need to come together and re-strategize a non-violent approach that succeeds our demos. We need to find a way of bringing this government to their knees because they are using our resources, our taxes, to stay in power and harass us. So maybe if we identified certain businesses, certain services that run because of us, and we withdraw for a day or two or more our monies that go into that, whether it's just keeping our cars at home or our border borders, so that we don't fund their petrol stations. We need to come to a point where we do more than go on the streets. And I'm not saying this because I'm not going. I'm blind, but on Thursday, I will be on the streets. And like one colleague said earlier, if we perish, we perish. I've been on the streets in Eldoret. I've been on the streets with the doctors in Nairobi. I've been on the streets in Mombasa. So if for me as a blind person, I can go on the streets, kwanza tokezeni twende. I need some of you, in fact, to show me which roads we're using. But we must come out. We really must. To say no to being treated like animals with a don't care, detachment, don't care attitude. I will not take it. I will not take it. Wanajua mali mnaishi wanikujie. And for most of you, you might know it. I'm a very easy target. Wakuje. But we must really stop this nonsense of a few people making us slaves in our own country. So we must come out and do better than demonstrations. Bring these guys to their knees, to the point where one time we should say we're not going to pay any taxes. Watafanya nini? What will they do? One time, let's all decide they benefit from our data and airtime and all of that. One day, kila mtu akatae kutumia kitu, so that we come to a point where they understand something. I can't take it. Secondly, as people in the struggle, we need to do more civic and political education for our fellows that are being bought to attend those rallies. Wanalipo 500, 1000, 2000 to attend so that it looks like they have audience. They don't have audience. So we need to do more civic education. Hao watu wanakuja na maboda na kusema, we support the government. They don't support the government. They are suffering. But for some of them, they're too hungry to resist a 500 bob. So we need to come to a point where we ourselves educate each other and talk to one another beyond these spaces and show them the uselessness and the price of betrayal. I think we need to do more. But thirdly, I really think we must come to a point where the lawyers, LSK, and all legal entities, those that are on our side, we need to develop a scorecard of minimums with regard to those who can occupy office, so that we say, kama hauna these 3 things or these 5 things, then usikaribie uongozi. Because we have cheapened leadership in this country, so that it's only the politicians that can exploit that go into office. That's why they can vet these guys, and they're rotten to the core. The DPP keeps doing whatever they do to excuse them, and we just go on like nothing happens. Some people should never have leadership and their name in the same sentence. So we need a scorecard that we agree on before the next election, whenever it will be called. In the 2022 election, when I ran, ESCC had singled out 241 people that were not fit to hold office. Most of them made it into office. That is where we are. So mkiniona na post vitu kuhusu values, it's not because I can't share my economic policy or education policy or whatever, even though I do. It is because I think it is the answer, that the character of a person matters. If their character is rotten, they should never even go through a nomination process. And this is something we can begin identifying now. Now, vijana, najua mambo ya leaderless, tribeless, and so on, imeshika sana mpaka I ask myself, so when we get these guys out of office, so who are going to be the leaders? Since the agenda is here and we understand what we want, then those of you who understand what we want should be getting ready to take over office. MCAs, MPs, we need Gen Zs that are governors, senators. If hata tukipata president ni sawa. I mean, we need to get ready, and professionals, kuna vijana that are good leaders, start grooming them, fund them, prepare them to take over leadership, so that, you know, nature abhors vacuum. So tuambiane ukweli, once Ruto goes with his system, we'll need good leaders, and some of you need to be sharpening your leadership skills, and getting ready. All these graduates with degrees in leadership, you know, administration, and all kinds of professions, we have to get ready. Lastly, ningependa kuomba hivi, if for any reason you are hearing us on this space, let us escalate beyond the X spaces. If hata kama unaelewa vernacular, call in, you know, those talk shows, and talk about Nane, talk about a better country. You know, go into your WhatsApp groups if you're on WhatsApp. Mimi nimefungiwa Facebook, so that's why I'm mostly on X. Go wherever you have a chance. Ukichukua ukiwa kwa matatu or whatever, talk about this, because the country is ready. We just need to mobilize and move. I really pray that all of us see that better country. But hii nchi ambayo iko na damu nyingi sana kwa, you know, the ground is crying out. And I can, you know, list them from independence until now. And inakuwa ni kama mambo na investigations, inakuwa a way of postponing. Ukisikia no stone will be left unturned. Actually, that's basically saying it's buried. So CDF wetu ndio huyo ameenda, Musando alienda hivyo, Baby Pendo ndio, yani we are so used to shedding blood mpaka Shakahola inakuwa ni kama a religious thing. It's a crime scene. You know, the Kware thing is not even about the demonstrations. It's genocide. It's genocide. All those bodies at the city mortuary, these are citizens, children of parents like me. So we need to wake up. And Kenya, we need to be a little more angry than we've been. We really, wacha hiyo anger iboil. Wacha nitusiwe, I'm immune. You know, I am immune to insults. Insult all you want. I feel nothing. But my anger shall rise until I see a new Kenya. God bless you all.
Now, I'm still waiting for Mr. Steve Mbogo to answer my question. Mr. Steve.
Yes. Paulo Kimana, thank you very much. Paulo, I think we had a problem from my end.
All right.
Because I'm a bit out of town. Yeah, but thank you for bringing up this topic. And as I speak as someone with a vast know-how on mineralogy, because that's one of my interests and one of my businesses. I am in active mining in East Africa, not only in Kenya, because you understand that in Kenya, getting the rights to concessions is close to impossible. So I've got interest in Tanzania, and right now I'm doing mining in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So when you talk about minerals in Kenya, you have to understand that Kenya is a very wealthy country in terms of our mineral deposits. And I think last time when I was invited to this space, I mentioned that we have a minimum of 970 minerals in this country. Talk of graphite, iron, copper, coltan, manganese, gold, diamond, cobalt, thorium, chromite, name them all, uranium, zinc. Kenya is a very wealthy country. And I based my conversation last time based on the formation of minerals. And we're told that minerals are formed due to changes of temperature and pressure in the ground. And we're so lucky as a country. We have so many areas that have these activities in the ground. And that's why we have so much minerals in this country. The only problem with this country is that a majority of these concessions were taken over from the 1940s, from the time of colonization. And the majority of the concessions that are owned by the blacks, or rather Kenyan natives, are owned by the big families, and they use these concessions as briefcase companies. So what most of these people do is they use these concessions and get borrowings or fundings from what you call hedge funds, and they don't really put them to use. Number two, the majority of miners who are actively mining in Kenya are doing it in secrecy. When I talk of secrecy, there is a very poor structure on the government to audit and understand the extent of mining activities from these companies that are mining in Kenya. We are told, as per the Ministry of Mining, that mining contributes less than 1% of Kenya's GDP, which really does not make sense. And the majority of minerals that are exported, the government earns royalties of about 3 to 4 to 5% only. And as per the 2016 Act, I think it's the 2016 Act of the Mining, we are told that the sharing of royalties is 70% to the government, 20% to county governments, and 10% to the communities. The Ministry of Mining in itself says from 2016 to date, they have collected about 14.7 billion shillings. And from these 14.7 billion shillings, remember, the 10% and the 20% that is supposed to go to county governments and communities has not yet been disbursed. So we go back to structure. We also have a very bad structure when you talk of mineral exploration in Kenya. And I think it has been done by design because the cabals who control the mineral concessions in Kenya will not accept any Tom, Dick, and Harry to own or have a mining license in this country. That is why some of us, Apollo, it's good you asked me that question, will prefer to go and do mining in Tanzania because it's a business I know, I understand, and I have a passion for. Because I can get licenses easier there, I can get my returns in due time, and same as even countries like Congo. So you talk of some of the biggest companies that are doing mining in Kenya. I heard you mention Taita Taveta, and you said there's a value of about 260 billion. That is even way below the real figures of our mineral deposits in Kwale. Remember, Niobium in itself is of a minimum 200 billion. I want to tell Kenyans that in the Kwale area, in the area of, Taita Taveta, we have the largest deposits of diamonds in this country, which are controlled through proxies, and they are controlled by the biggest diamond company in Africa known as De Beers, who have fronts here to secure the area, and they're not doing mining at the moment. So when you talk of the issue of the airport, Apollo, I'm glad you clicked and understood that one of the major activities, and that's why these people need the airport, is because of the mining factor. A country like Base Titanium, Base Titanium is a company that does mining in Kwale. I remember when they opened up their investment in the year 2022, they invested about $280 million to do mining for the titanium. And titanium is a mineral used as a pigment in house paint, plastics, and all those other stuff. 8 months down the line, Base Titanium had declared that they had made $350 million in less than a year. So you can imagine, within a year, these people had gotten their money back, and they've been mining ever since, till to date. We don't know how much the real figures they're mining there. The government is not earning enough royalties from the extracts of the mineral activity. So we need proper structures. Number two, I'd like to touch on the issue of the airport, because I think today that has been one of the bone of contention. And I want to tell Kenyans that a time has come where we really have to open our heads and understand what is happening in this country and the world at large. Most of us perceive this cell as a normal cell. But when you sit down and understand the scope at which this cell or this list is being drawn at, it raises a lot of questions. Many a times I have mentioned to Kenyans that there is a big global agenda to transform governance of the world to what we call a one world order agenda. And I've mentioned enough times that Kenya has been chosen as the pilot country for these implementations. Now, in one of their policies in the New World Order agenda, they are very open and clear, and they call themselves what you call liberal states. They have a thinking that they are going to convert sovereignties of other countries to one world government, which will be liberal. When I talk of liberal, it means countries without borders. And that is why the president many times he's been suggesting issues to do with abolishing of visas and opening up our borders. Now, look at what is happening in Europe today, or a country like America. As we speak today, there is so much chaos in the entire Europe, even UK. In London today, civil war they're at a brink of civil war. Why? They created policies to open up their borders and infiltrated immigrants purposely to bring in these immigrants to create chaos in the country. So when you look at this Adani deal in Kenya, in my own perspective and what I know and understand, is that this is not just a business transaction or a business venture. Adani is being used as a front company by the globalists to ensure they take over our most strategic transport hub, and that is the airports. Because the moment they will have control of our airports, they will have control of what is going in and coming out into this country. The moment they have control of our airport, they will dictate every other movement of staff and people and products and commodities in this country. So this is not just a matter of business transactions, and that's why it's not making sense. How can people propose to invest an investment out of 100%, which is about 2.5 billion? They're saying 53% will be financed by JKIA, 30% will be a borrowing, and for the borrowing, they need the title deed, which is about 4,500 acres. So in basic terms, it is total control of the airport. And the reason why they want to take over that title deed, that is in the essence, in case there is change of governance, there is no way we can take back our airport. Now, Kenyans need to understand that there are so many activities happening in this country that no one is speaking about. One of the biggest activity, and it is the biggest business in the world today, is not drug trade or ammunition trade or contrabands. The biggest thing happening and the biggest business happening in the world today is what we call human trafficking. And it is very sad that Kenyans are not discussing this issue. Today, as we speak, Kenya has been named as a conduit of child trafficking, a destination, and a source of child trafficking. Human trafficking is done for various purposes. Number one, for what you call forced labor, or basically labor. There's what you call sex exploitation. Number three is what you call adrenochrome. I don't know if some of you understand what adrenochrome is. Adrenochrome is a chemical compound produced by oxidation of adrenaline. Now, scientifically, it's been proven today that adrenochrome from young children have stem cells that reverse what you call aging. And that is why we've been seeing so many cases of children being abducted in this country. Many a times, every week in the news, you'll see news of children being abducted or being intercepted in the process of trafficking. But no one is speaking about these issues. So I want Kenyans to understand that the other factor of human trafficking is what we call organ transplant. Today, as we speak, Kenyans, I want to let you know that organ transplant and trafficking business is one of the biggest businesses in the world today. A simple organ like a liver will go between 150 to 550,000 euros. So that's about 60 million. A normal functional kidney will go up to about 27 million shillings. Talk of an organ like the eye cornea. Eye cornea will go up to about 2 million shillings. The lungs, a pair will go up to about 22, 23 million shillings. A normal functional heart will go up to about 33 million shillings. So we should not just look at issues and be personal. We need to cascade down the roots and understand the reasons why these people are so much interested in taking over this airport. Remember, they're saying they will ensure they do a complete overhaul of all the workers at JKIA. The main reason why they want to bring in their people, as Paulo Kimani had said, that is definitely to ensure that there is secrecy and there is total control of the activities they're going to do there. So Kenyans, I want you to go read about human trafficking.
Mr. Steve.
Problem. Yes.
Mr. Steve.
Yes.
I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. I think you are deviating kidogo from the main topic I asked you. But here's another question I have for you.
Yes. Yes.
Username, I'll not mention his username, but he's saying, Uyo Steve Kabogo, Uyo Steve Mbogo. The guy is in mineral deals in Kenya and the dirty deals. Anajua kila kitu, he himself has been doing dirty deals, even killing people because gold is. The guy even doesn't pay electricity, power, anasumbua. Just ask him direct about this question and the dirty deals he does. Hide ID. That's the question.
So I think that is a nonsensical question to ask me, and the fact that it is a hidden ID. We are here to discuss issues, and you see, the biggest problem we have is we divert from issues. I think we are here to discuss simple issues and issues that affect this country. So when someone brings in personal issues or personal attacks to me, let me tell you, Apollo, I'm not the kind of person who can be swayed or bullied by such sentiments.
No, I understand.
I'm here to discuss. I'm just telling you, I'm here to discuss issues that will help take this country forward. I'm here to discuss on these issues because I understand them and I feel pained by these issues. Remember, the problem we are undergoing as a country today can only be solved by us having a collective thinking. There is no one who has a monopoly of wisdom. Whatever small you know and I know, that is what you're supposed to bring on the table and become solution-oriented people.
All right. I understand. But at the same time, you also need to look at where I'm coming from. Over the time, history, history has also, it has proven multiple times. I don't have to be, I want to make sure if we are in this together. I want to make sure we're on the same page. I don't want us to be in a situation where, over the times I've seen, after the aftermath of this freedom fighting, the aftermath is usually now the people who now have you ever read this book called Kidaga Kimemozea? It's a book by Ken Olibora. Now when these people fight for freedom, wanapigania uhuru, the aftermath is actually the people now, they have decided to that these are the guys we see fit for this job. These guys come back and bite them in the ass real bad. Yes. So I need to make sure, this is Steve Mbogo saying this. Okay, he's saying this. Is he talking the truth?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Apollo Kimani, and you need to understand. I'm someone who's been in the political space for some time, and I'm a purpose-driven person. I vied for Starehe's seat in 2017. I did not make it. I had the position and the power to vie for the seat last year. But I decided to step back and I supported someone who I thought, and in my own thinking, would do better than I could do for the country. So for me, it has not just been about me. And I'll tell you, I'm not doing this because I need any political seat, Apollo Kimani. If you can do better, count my blessing and my support 100%, socially, economically, and politically. For me, it has never been about me. Ask the people who know me. I've been in leadership for the longest. I was the patron of Kenya University Students Organization for about 5 years. I have raised a crop of leaders who I'm proud of. So it is not about me. I'm not campaigning. I'm speaking about issues that are affecting this country. And I have said again and again, if we have people who can take this country forward, Apollo, I'm a businessman. I understand the importance of good leadership. Me being a businessman, I know if the country has good leadership, my brother, I'll be smiling to the bank. For me, it's about policies and good leadership and know-how. You know, countries are run by people who have what you call a know-how on how to take the country forward.
All right. That
So
makes sense.
it's not about person. It's not about
All
me.
right.
So
All right.
don't think I'm here to campaign. No.
All right. All right.
Let's collect our
Can you hear
minds.
me?
Let's bring our minds together and create a solution
Hello.
for
Hello.
this country.
All I'm
Can you hear
saying
me?
is there's absolutely no room for con artists in this movement. And
Yes,
one way or another, we are going to weed them out, regardless of how long it might take. But we are not going to allow that.
that is very important.
All right.
All right.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Am
I
I
can hear
audible?
you, Eric.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Just finish, Steve. You're saying something about adrenochrome and organ, and you are prosecuting something. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was speaking about this other factor of human trafficking. I think I was more than done.
Yeah. You can just wind up.
So I just wanted Kenyans to go and do a research of what has been happening in countries like Ukraine, countries like Haiti, where we've got globalists putting their foot down in those countries. And I think this is subject to discussion, and we need to expound on it because it's become a menace. I'm glad I saw Mutua today during his interview. He mentioned about the issue of the issue of child and human trafficking in Kenya. So we need to raise our voices louder and louder on regards to this issue. And I think that will be one of their biggest access ports. If they take over the airport, I'm telling you, be ready for massive open border policies that I'm talking about immigrants coming into this country and illegal activities such as human trafficking and child trafficking. So let us look and think deeper on regards to this issue of Adani. It's not just a normal transactional venture. No. It's bigger than what meets the eye.
Yeah, correct. There is a lot. There is a lot.
There's a lot.
Going with him.
And it's not it's remember, sorry, before I wrap up, I want you to remember that the president himself had suggested a number of times that there are plans to sell what to call state corporations. And I've repeated again and again, and I asked a simple question. We want the government to be open enough and tell us the guarantees that have been signed against what we call these debts we are taking. Because when you look at similar countries, we are seeing that, for example, countries like Ukraine, where these globalists have turned them to their playground, a majority of these debts from these Bretton Woods institutions are signed against state corporations and what we call agricultural land. So maybe, and I see, the sale of the airport is just an entry point to the idea of selling what we call state corporations, because there is no difference between the leasing and the selling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. And always, the information you give us, of course, is very important. Plus the GMO, the mosquito ones. Maybe that one we'll be talking later. There is a young man here from high school who is called Bivon. Bivon, habari yako? Bivon. Bivon. He says he's a high school student and he has something he wants to share. I don't know what it is he wants to share. Bivon. Bivon, you have the mic. Can you say what you want to say? Okay, Mary, take it over.
Can I speak?
Go. Yes, Mary.
Eric, can you hear me?
Go on.
Yes, go on, Mary.
Hello, Mary, go on. We are listening.
Polokimani, can you hear me?
Please go on. We can hear you.
We can
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm going to speak about food security. I'm going to speak about food sovereignty. I'll try my best to be as brief as possible, just to make sure other people are able to speak. If you want to control a people, you control their health, you control their education, you control their food, and you control their information. There is a clear intent in this country to control the food production, the food chain, and the food sovereignty of this country. It started when the president came into power. Immediately, he lifted the ban on GMOs. Without any public participation, GMOs were allowed in this country. I'm saying all this in support of Nane, that we have every single reason to go on the streets. In the Kibaki administration, the question of GMOs came into light, and there was public participation, and Kenyans spoke loudly against GMOs. But in this administration, the ban has been lifted, and there's a havoc happening in this country right now. If you're careful to look at what is going on, food production is being controlled to the advantage of corporations. You need to look at the Agriculture Professionals Bill, you need to look at the Livestock Professionals Bill, you need to look at the Seed and Control Act, which is already an act. You also need to look, I'm forgetting about the other one. There is an effort to control food production. Kenyans, as we are farmers by default. Every person, either in office or wherever you are, you have practiced farming in one way or the other. You have a goat, you are planting trees, you're producing food for own consumption, subsistence farmers, small-scale farmers. In Kenya, we are all doing agriculture in one way or the other. But now, this government is legislating on food production in this country. And I hope any lawyer on this forum looks at this bill, especially the latest, the livestock bill that has been presented to Parliament by Kimani Ichung'wah. The government officials are on a PR campaign, gaslighting any questions people ask, but that bill is a bill to control keeping animals in this country. There is an effort to vaccinate to do a census on all animals in Kenya and to vaccinate animals in Kenya. There is a very dangerous behavior that this government is taking. This is worse than the Finance Bill 2024, guys. It is worse 100 times. Imagine a situation whereby you have money but you cannot access good food. A situation whereby you cannot access that organic food because it's only set aside for the rich. We know about, like Steve has mentioned, the privatization of parastatals in the country. We know about the privatization of the seed, this corporation, the company that takes care of seeds in this country. The government right now owns 52%, but there's a 48% that you can't really get to know who owns Seed Corporation in Kenya. There is, we need to look at food security keenly. We need to do civic education. If you're on TikTok, if you're a lawyer, help us go through these bills. But the GMO is something that should make every Kenya go to the streets, because this is the biggest cause of cancer right now. I was in another space whereby Kenya is ranked the 4th in the cases of cancer in this country, after South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Malawi. What is the cause of these high levels of cancer in the country? It is because of the kind of foods we eat. I think we are so blind. into what this government is doing, and we are not following the bills that are being passed in this parliament. Let me tell you guys, these loans that come to Kenya in terms of IMF and World Bank loans, they are attached with a lot of social economic requirements, and one of them is to pass these bills. So why is agriculture being censored? So why are they not passing bills on things like engineering, architectural? Why are they not controlling any other profession? They're just keen on controlling agriculture as an activity. This is very sinister, and I'm calling upon everyone to look into these bills touching on agriculture being passed in this country. They are coming out like good bills, but they are not good bills. They're just meant to control. Like, you're supposed to be registered to be a farmer. You're supposed to have a certificate to be a farmer. Where the hell do they get these bills from? We've been farming all the years, so now we need a certificate. Look at the penalties attached to people who practice agriculture without being registered. Where is this government taking us? Guys, let's look at issues of food sovereignty and food security in this country, because I think this is literally treason that is being committed against Kenyans. Thank you.
All right, my network is very bad. So Joshua Okayo.
Hi, can you hear me? Kindly confirm.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Just go on.
Thank you. My name is Joshua Okayo, and I think I was called to this space because of what I've been doing in the past 2 weeks. Number one, I must say that I'm a sad man today because of the number of bodies, lifeless bodies that have been discovered, and it's so painful. It actually reminded me of when I was abducted, and I thought about it. Probably I would have been part of that statistics today. It's really painful, very painful, and something has to be done. And that's why I'm going to start with a Bible verse I wrote today. And the verse is Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. The Bible says, let me just find it, sorry. All right. Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. It says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. That is Joshua 1:9. Thank you. I also want to follow that with a quote from Martin Luther King, that protest is the language of the unheard. Friends, over the past 2 weeks, I realized that we have been having conversations on Twitter, on X Spaces, sorry. We've been having conversations everywhere in meetings, but then there's a group of people that we've left behind. There's a group of people that does not have, someone that does not have a phone, or this group, they do not have phones or smartphones for that matter. These are people who never get to see what's happening in the spaces. And at some point, especially when we were heading towards the Occupy JKIA, the media did not effectively report, or rather really help us to amplify what we needed to amplify at that time. And that means there are people who did not get information because probably they depend on radios or they depend on TVs, but then at that point it was not amplified as such. So that is a number that we lost just because we never reached out to them effectively. That is why I decided to go down on the ground. I said it is important that everyone gets to know what we are doing and what we are up to. Someone mentioned here before that these people these people have the information. I want to affirm that by saying that people have an idea of what is happening. People have an idea of really what the Gen Zs, as we say, the movement is doing. but they want a reason to be part of it. They want a reason to, some people want a reason to go to the streets. Some people are not just, they just don't go with the waves. They want someone to speak to them, and they want to understand one, two, three things to be cleared here and there before they can get themselves up to go to the streets and to fight for what is rightfully theirs. And I'm telling you, really, on civic education, and especially the groundwork, a robust and effective civic education is that which is, in addition to the immense knowledge that probably you and I have, a deep understanding of those issues, the kindness with which you communicate, and probably humility, there needs to be a touch of audacious creativity and madness. You have to be a little bit mad for you to succeed in addressing and communicating the issues that we are taking to the ground. Because, take for example, the day I was traveling and I was in, let me just say, a coach bus, and I decided of the 52, is it 50, 40, I think 45 passengers, I was the only one who stood up and said, I want to speak to these people. And I took about 7 minutes speaking to the people as to what is happening in the country and telling them about Nane. Of these 45 people, only one person was against what I was saying. But this person was not against what I was saying because really he is supporting the government. This person was against going to the streets because he's a guy whose brother had been killed in the protests. He was so angry, he was hurt, he was in pain. At this time, he was traveling from home, going back to Nairobi after the burial. The lesson learned from that point is that even as we take message home, even as we take message to the ground level, we need to understand that there are people who lost their people. And much as they may have enough courage to come back to the streets, they have to be recognized and they have to be told pole before we start anything. From that point to date, any day, anytime I get to speak to people, I have to first of all tell people pole for those who probably who are part of a crowd I'm addressing and they've lost one or two of their people. That is one thing I learned. Another thing I learned is yesterday I was in Nairobi CBD. I was speaking to a group of people and I realized that these people actually have knowledge and people are discussing on the ground what is happening, the Adani group, JKA and all stuff. But someone just wants to be told how it is affecting them in person, as an individual. How does it affect me? At the same time, we have people who've been sent by this rogue government to come and try to intercept our ideas. And when you try to communicate these issues with people, there are people who are also trying to make noise and trying in the background and trying to discourage you from speaking what is right, what you should be speaking about. So these are some of the things that require madness for you to be able to speak in the midst of people who are shouting at the background and people who are actually ready to fight you, people who have been probably some have been paid, some are in contracts and who want to come forth and just disorganize organized crowds. It requires a little bit of madness for you to stand in a bus or a matatu. The other day I was in a matatu from town to another place, I won't say, and these people actually demanded for the music to be switched off so that they can listen to what I was saying. It really tells you that the ground understands what we are doing. People just need a reason. People just need to be whipped. People just need to be told that, look, it is time. We need to build the rage. We need to make it the conversation. We have had all the ideas. We have had things about punitive laws. We've heard about the issue that are affecting Kenyans. I can speak about so many issues. University fees. I can talk about the university I went to, University of Nairobi. I paid 26,000 every year. Right now they are paying, I don't know, in hundreds of thousands every year, academic year. I paid only for 5,400 for accommodation. Right now they are paying, I think, 39 or so thousands every year. I mean, every semester. We can talk about the acts and everything. We can talk about the carbon credits and people adopting forests, Rachel Ruto adopting forests, and we know what is behind that really. We can talk about the livestock bill and the punishment for any offense committed within that act. 500,000 Kenya shillings or 1 year in prison. I mean, for a normal Kenyan. You understand? Really, these are the things we need to tell people. These are the things we need to communicate even as we do groundwork. Now, ways of doing civic education are so many. Me, I've done matatus and buses and markets. I've done border shades. It is upon us. It behooves us to now all go out and not just concentrate on X spaces, but actually go to the common mwananchi at the lowest level, who is seated in a market somewhere in Uyoma with fish and mboga selling. Talk to them, understand first where they're coming from, understand really what they've had already. Because again, you need to know what they've had. You might be going and imposing your ideas on them, and there's something they've had before. So get to know what they've had before. Then after that, now build on that conversation. Let us go to markets. Let us go to border shades. Let us go to churches. Actually, you go to churches, talk to the priest or anyone in charge before. Let them know that this is my agenda. This is what we are doing. We have only 4 or 3 days left to have the biggest protest day in Kenya. Let them know that, look, all of your voices are needed, and if you don't give me a chance to speak today in your church, then even God might deny you a chance to get to heaven. Let us go to bonding and team building activities. Those who are going to have team building activities between today and Wednesday, let us go to those spaces. Mobilize people. Parties and ceremonies. Kuna watu wako parties leo usiku. Let us get to them. Let us get to I know quite a number of universities are closed right now, but this is a war that is not ending today. So even as we proceed with the war, coming September, October, let us get to universities and colleges, because I have a very credible information that there are certain university leaders or student leaders who are paid to mobilize people to have event on the day you are supposed to go to JKIA, so that these students are more consumed in their events, that they don't get a time to come for the protest. So this government is using any way to try to thwart our energies, to thwart our efforts. And this is the time that we must rise up, everybody and anybody, to speak against impunity. Let us go to TikTok. I have actually recently decided to know how to use TikTok pretty well, because I realized so many Kenyans are following stuff on TikTok, and you can see the feedback. The feedback is that, look, we are behind you. Let us do it together. Let us go all out and convince our brothers and sisters that this war is for every Kenyan. And one thing that the people of Kenya don't really resonate with is the fact that we are making this war to be a war of Gen Zs only. Let us say this is a war of Kenyans. Yes, the revolution was started by Gen Zs. It has been led by Gen Zs for a substantial amount of time, but it is time that every Kenyan comes out and speak against the ills and the things that this government is doing. Now, finally, I would want to make just a message to any police officer or defense or members of the defense forces who are listening.
Yes.
Look, we are your brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not against you. We are fighting for something that is going to benefit everyone, including you. We are your brothers and sisters. You are our fathers. You are, everything. Please, you've seen what have been done in other countries. Come together. Let us join hands and let us speak to the truth. For our religious leaders, especially SUPKEM have today said that we should suspend, or rather we should halt the Thursday protests. I want to tell them we are not halting. We are going forth and marching to occupy what is ours. So the religious leaders, those who have not spoken, please come out, be on the right side of history, and make it known that you want a better Kenya. Make it known that at some point in 2024, you supported the people of Kenya against an illegal government. Finally, and very final, this is a just cause. I normally say when the cause is just, conquer we must. Let's go forth and conquer, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Nane, tunakutana.
Nane. Thank you very much, Joshua. Thank you for your submission about civic education, a very important ingredient in any form of revolution of the mind, revolution of the politics of that country. Civic education, political education, that's what we have been missing here on this app. Of course, there are people who have been teaching us and sharing with us